for the introduction. Today, I'm glad for you to be joining me at Oncomine World, and I will be providing an overview of comprehensive genomic profiling with Oncomine Comprehensive Plus. So let me begin with some background on the value of comprehensive genomic profiling, or CGP. Simply put, CGP is defined as the ability to simultaneously detect all of the necessary variants in a single test. This gives us the value of providing maximum insight for each sample, including its underlying oncogenic drivers. This includes some of the complex biomarkers, such as genomic instability, TMB, as well as MSI. A large panel with more than 500 genes spanning multiple biomarkers is one way to implement comprehensive genomic profiling. CGP brings a lot of promise to clinical research, but many offerings have limitations or challenges that prevent broad implementation. These limitations include being too limited with sample success rate. Many other comprehensive genomic profiling solutions require more than 20 nanograms of FFPE sample. This can be limiting when working with FFPE samples where tissue amounts are finite. In addition, our AmpliSeq technology has been shown to have very high success rates, even with poor quality samples. Another limitation is being too slow with turnaround time. Oftentimes with hybrid capture procedures, the library preparation steps could take multiple days. This adds considerable time to the total overall turnaround time before a sample can provide you insightful data. In addition, oftentimes people can think of CGP as being too complex to implement due to the lack of a streamlined end-to-end or an automated workflow or a bioinformatics pipeline. Piecing together different analysis solutions can mean that the investment can add up. There's also extra work needed to make sure all of the individual pieces are compatible with each other when there's not an end-to-end workflow. Additionally, sometimes comprehensive genomic profiling solutions are too incomplete in that they're not analyzing all of the relevant biomarkers. The exploding research, into clinical biomarkers has meant rapid growth, especially in the area of complex biomarkers. Homologous recombination deficiency is really one example that has grown quite a bit in recent days. And all of these different reasons is what is limiting comprehensive genomic profiling implementation. With that, we are pleased to offer Oncomine Comprehensive Assay Plus as our comprehensive genomic profiling solution. This assay was made available on our Gene Studio platform and will be coming soon to our Genexus platform. This large 500 gene panel allows for simultaneous analysis of relevant biomarkers from DNA and RNA. This includes single variants such as SNVs and indels, fusions, and copy number variants, including large alterations in BRCA1 and BRCA2. But it also covers complex biomarkers that span multiple genes. This includes TMB and MSI. Recent endpoint that we're offering for Oncomine Comprehensive Plus is the genomic instability metric, or GIM. And that's really what I want to go into more details later. But before we get into that, this entire assay is a single solution for our customers for comprehensive genomic profiling. This is done with our tried and true AmpliSeq technology, which allows us to use very low amounts of DNA and offering high testing success. We include a full end-to-end workflow with automation to support lab efficiency. And this offering is really designed to address some of those current limitations that is inhibiting broad comprehensive genomic profiling. So here in the next slide, we want to kind of cover a little bit on addressing the sample success rate and turnaround time. Through our, some of our key customers and publications, we are able to demonstrate that our AmpliSeq technology is really great at providing rapid, good success rate across a large number of samples. In addition, with our new Genexus platform, we really can help address, the need for more rapid turnaround time. On the left part of this slide, this highlights our customer at Strata Oncology, where they were able to use a 400 plus AmpliSeq panel to show a 94.2% success rate. This is across a large cohort of over 30,000 samples. This was done on the Gene Studio platform, where they had a turnaround time of 7 days. Moving on to next, though, however, Scrum in Japan. Scrum, for those that are not familiar, is Japan's first industry academic collaborative cancer genome screening project for individualized medicine. And in this publication, we wanted to highlight that although this was done using a different panel, through the use of the Genexus platform, they were able to decrease their turnaround time to just 4 days. And we can all understand how rapid turnaround time can really make a difference in a clinical laboratory. Next, to address the limitations of being too complex to implement, we're pleased to offer soon Oncomine Comprehensive Plus on the Genexus platform. This is an end-to-end workflow using just 2 instruments and a single software solution. We were able to reduce the total hands-on time to just 10 minutes per instrument, both the Genexus purification instrument as well as the Genexus sequencing instrument. This workflow includes both primary as well as secondary bioinformatics analysis and goes all the way through to reporting for interpretation of relevant findings. This gives contextual investigation of sample-specific variants with respect to, kind of where things are at with in clinical trials and peer-reviewed literature. And to address kind of the assays that are too incomplete, our assay is designed to cover all complex biomarker, including emerging ones, such as homologous recombination deficiency. Although the content of this assay was originally launched on the Gene Studio several years ago, we were able to recently unlock new biomarkers through a software update. With this assay, we're pleased to offer MSI, TMB, and HRD as our complex biomarkers. With that exciting new improvement, I'm going to go a little bit more into homologous recombination deficiency. So what is homologous recombination deficiency? We certainly hear a lot about interest on this, so we're going to go backwards and give a little introduction. Simply put, what is HRD, homologous recombination deficiency? It's the inability to repair double-stranded breaks within the DNA. Homologous recombination repair is a cellular mechanism that does repair double-stranded breaks. When you have a homologous recombination deficiency, then the samples will accumulate errors in the genome, leading to genomic damage called scarring. This also is a result of genomic instability. In cells in which single-stranded break repair is also lost, such as through inhibition with PARP inhibitors, this leads to cell death in the concept of synthetic lethality. Therefore, HRD is an interesting biomarker that really demonstrates sensitivity to PARP inhibitors. Now that we've defined HRD, I think the question would be, how would you measure this HRD biomarker? And there are multiple approaches that can be used to measure deficiency in homologous recombination repair. You can look into causes, and this can be done by looking at impairment or inactivation of genes that are involved in the HRR pathway. This could be another way of putting as causes of HRD. But as I previously mentioned, when cell is deficient in homologous recombination repair, the sample does lead to accumulation of errors and scarring, and this scarring leads to genomic instability. And measuring this genomic scarring is kind of looking at the consequences of homologous recombination deficiency. And by measuring genomic scarring, this would be measuring the consequences of HRD. By combining both causes and consequences, you can look into a more comprehensive overview of measuring this homologous recombination deficiency biomarker, or HRD. Now that we went over different ways of measuring HRD, I want to go into more details of what Oncomine Comprehensive Assay Plus can offer for this. In regards to looking at causes, this is a very comprehensive solution. We cover over 46 different homologous recombination repair genes and covering different endpoints for those genes, from looking at mutations such as SNVs and indels, going into more broad, looking at copy number variants, gene level LH, as well as large genomic alterations. Outside of the causes of HRD, OCA Plus also covers genomic scarring to look into consequences. And to do this, we look into the genomic instability metric. Our genomic instability metric, or GIM, is a proprietary measurement that's available in iReporter software for GeneStudio and available in the Genexus software within Genexus that really quantifies genomic scarring associated with HRD. The GIM is a summary of unbalanced copy number changes that is a result of genomic segmentation. And the higher the value, the more genomic stable the sample is. And overall, this allows us, the customers, to look at a very comprehensive overview of both the causes as well as the consequences of HRD. Now, as I move on to the next slide, we're going to go into a little bit more into our genomic instability metric, or GIM. This is our new approach in quantifying genomic scars associated with homologous recombination deficiency. You use genomic segmentation to determine the copy number change across the entire genome. We include different types of unbalanced copy number changes, whether it's gains or losses, and we provide this in a quantitative metric that ranges from 0 to 100. Simply put, the higher this value, this GIM value, the more genomic instability is in the sample. And when the GIM is above a threshold set for ovarian cancer, this would be 16, the sample will be considered genomically unstable high. This threshold is set in the software and doesn't require the user intervention. In addition to provide a GIM readout as well as the genomic instability status within the sample, our Genexus software does provide rich visualizations. On the right-hand side is an example of what you can see within our software. This kind of allows us to not only get a quantitative value, but to really visually see the genomic instability that's associated within each sample. Now that I described what is the genomic instability metric, let me review some of the technical performance of this new metric. On the first table here, on the left-hand side, we basically looked into our ability to use our GIM to differentiate between genomically unstable samples as well as stable, normal samples, using a variety of different cell lines. The positive cell lines, which are distinguished by having BRCA mutations, all are above our OCA plus GIM threshold of 16 and provide a positive readout. Using a control sample, NA12878, that is known to have wild type BRCA expression as well as not known to be HRD positive, our GIM gives a GIM negative. In addition to looking into cell lines, we also look into clinical FFPE samples. In the middle plot, we looked across a large unbiased cohort of ovarian FFPE samples, and then we separated this cohort into HRD positive via BRCA pathogenic mutations, as well as HRD negative, those without pathogenic BRCA mutations. By separating out this cohort, what you can see is that we're able to stratify HRD samples via our GIM through a cutoff of 16. Through this, you can see that these two cohorts are separated with a significant p-value. In addition, on the right-hand side, we do have concordance between our Genexus as well as GeneStudio platform. All of this, kind of demonstrates a good technical performance of our GIM. We're excited to provide this to our customers to see how they can use it in their clinical laboratories. With that, this is the end of my presentation, and I'm happy to take questions in our Q&A session. Thank you for your time.
There you go. So once again, Elaine, good to see you being with us once more. Thanks for your presentation. Very clear as usual. We have a couple of questions. Some of them are actually similar to the one that we heard already, both in the EPJ session as well as in the EMEA session. And more specifically, people are asking about the difference between the OCA Plus and specifically the HRD score testing in the S5 versus the Genexus assay. So can you tell us a little bit more? Is this the same assay? Are there any meaningful differences? And if you could elaborate a little bit more about that.
Certainly, that's a great question. The two platforms are quite similar, but do have differences. But from a reporting and endpoint perspective, as it pertains not only to HRD but other biomarkers as well, we do expect the two platforms to give very concordant results. I had a small figure at the very last slide to show that you had a very highly concordant. That is because the underlying algorithm is identical between the two platforms. The main difference between the two platforms would be, the overall workflow and the turnaround time. With the Gene Studio, you can, you have either manual or a semi-automated library prep in a workflow with around a 3 to 5 day turnaround time. But on the Genexus platform, everything is fully automated with next day results. But you should get very highly concordant results whether you use both either a Gene Studio or Genexus platform.
Thank you very much, Elaine. And you showed that our HRD proprietary solution is suggesting a cutoff. Of course, that cutoff can be changed. And you also showed some data with some of the samples having a high GIM score over 30. Now, the audience is asking us whether those have been retested, or whether do you think this is a false negative on the reference. Has been additional testing, for example, looking at the BRCA status of those samples done. If you could elaborate a little bit more, and maybe I think what people would like to know is whether you're looking at HRD, or you could also look at the same time at the HRD pathway genes. So that would be probably the question to elaborate. Thank you.
Great. So the question is, if you see something with a GIM score above a particular threshold, how do you know if it's real, right? Do you retest it? Do you look for BRCA mutations? And I think being able to see BRCA mutation within a sample that is genomically unstable high does make sense and gives a little bit more confidence. But we do know biologically that there will be samples that do not have BRCA variants that still are HRD positive. That really brings the value of why we want to have a very comprehensive approach in terms of how we measure HRD within the sample. I think the best way to really understand, assess the performance of the specific assay is to do a clear analytical validation study with samples with a known orthogonal method. There are other assays or tests out there through, depending on which region you're in and what the providers are, that can be used to demonstrate the concordance. We can also highlight that for those that were not able to join us early this morning, the session in the Europe and America section is now available on demand. You can certainly take a look at how one of our customers did their analytical validation using this particular assay.
Thank you very much, Elaine. And I would like, if you don't mind, to add that one of the tools that I really like that was developed along with the test is the graphical visualization tool that we have. That really helps a lot. Seeing a very messy genome, it's probably a very good way of double checking the result. Again, usually genomes that have BRCA alteration, they have also additional alteration with a very scattered plot, which again can be now very easily visually inspected in our software. So I think it's also very important to have a look at that, to realize what's happening at the genomic level. And this kind of low pass genomic approach that we have taken with the OCA Plus is very helpful to graphically capture what's happening in the specific test. So also, maybe following the same what you just said about the EMEA region, there's an ongoing ring trial test which has been performed in Germany. The entire region is anxiously looking at that. We heard a fantastic news today that the people that participated to that ring trial using our assay, they have passed the test, which speaks very much in favor about the solidity of the solution that we have provided. But the question is, do you know if anything similar is happening in the United States or in North America in general? For example, is Friends of Cancer engaged in a kind of similar activity?
Certainly, yes. We've worked very closely with the Friends of Cancer Research organization. In the past, we did also a TMB harmonization project as well. As they saw, the complexity of how TMB should be used in a clinical testing, they really got a head start with HRD. But this biomarker is honestly even more challenging than TMB. Again, this project has been broken down in different phases. And unlike TMB, where the first phase was actual experimental, looking at in silico data, for HRD, phase one was really just aligning on the definition of HRD. So through that work, at least we're all speaking the same language, and we're currently participating in phase two, in which we'll kind of look across multiple samples, with different technologies to really understand kind of what are the contributions to different variabilities to HRD testing.
Thank you very much, Elaine. Therefore, we are looking forward as well for this additional project, and of course, very glad that we are part of that as well. With this, I would like to thank you again for your presentation and for participating in the Q&A session, but I will also like to take the opportunity here to thank all the speakers. We had almost 20 presentations throughout all the different sessions today. I would like to thank all the participants. We had hundreds of people joining us from all over the globe in this very long day, but also very successful Oncomine World 2023. I also like to make some special acknowledgement to the Thermo Fisher team and to the supporting team, for hosting us and helping us in organizing this one. Especially, I would like to thank Martha Hall and Lily as well for their incredible engagement in making this yet again another very successful Oncomine World event. And once again, it has been a great pleasure for me to moderate also this year the Oncomine World. I would like to remind everyone that this event continues to live online. So please take the chance to go and visit the poster hall, the Oncomine Grant Hall, the Oncology hall. There's a lot of information about all Thermo Fisher solution, everything that we are doing around NGS. And please also take the chance to engage with our team. You will have the opportunity to find all contacts. And if you need any other kind of information, we are there to support you. Now, it's not yet over. We still have one more. Once again, Andrew will join us to have a demo of the ion torrent GeneXus system, and he will as well be able to answer any of your questions should you have one. With this, I would like to thank you all once again for being with us. It has been a pleasure, and I look forward to see you in the next event.